They're just ignoring me, dude. That's like awesome. Uh-oh, Joe. No, Joe! Don't do this! And that's why you don't play melee. Hey everybody, this is Sabbath on the mic here. I hope you all are having a great holiday season, and if you're not, then I hope you're enjoying the new patch, whether that be through ranked or just messing around with the new parts or the new maps. I just wanted to make this video real quickly because the new patch kind of ruined my video schedule. I had a part spotlight on the works, but the new patch kind of ruined everything, and I want to get a bit more practice in before I start giving advice on specific parts. But I do want to talk about something that is actually very important to bring up, and that is one particular weapon. If you've been playing 3v3s, you would know about this. These are Earshots. You've probably seen them in 1s as well. They're pretty solid in that. Whereas in 3s, they are, I want to say, inarguably the best weapon in the game. These things are very overtuned. Even before the buffs they got on the early patches, they were still very, very strong in 3v3s and really need to be looked into. The optimal playstyle to play Earshots usually is with the missile build like this. You can also go a little bit heavier as well. I know Farquaad, one of the best 3s players in the world, he runs a little bit heavier. Actually, I could probably even like show it. So he runs something like this, a little bit tankier, still fast enough to run away, usually with Berzel as well, instead of NGI. I'm kind of dabbling between the two personally, but regardless, the build looks to use missiles alongside the Earshots and basically stagger people from distance and then just one-shot them with the Earshots. It is very much not okay for several reasons, and I will get into that right now. So the first thing to consider that everyone knows about the Earshots already is if you get a stagger on an opponent that is not very tanky. So let's get a stagger on Start AC, for example. Or the Test AC. And you can see he's dead. He's just dead. Once you get a stagger, you're basically dead against dual Earshotter. So that already is strong. What's also incredibly strong about this is that if you just shoot it straight up, that instantly staggers pretty much everything that isn't a full tank. The only way you don't get fully staggered by a direct Earshot is if you're basically just gouging defenses and altitude stability. You don't even really need a direct hit to bring their stagger meter like straight up. In fact, I could manually aim this, shoot right here, and he's still staggered. Granted, this is not a very tanky build, but still, you're basically done for. I'm still fast with this too, because they are light. You can see my Berzel boost speeds are still reaching 500. I am squishy, but not so much so that I instantly get touched the second I'm open. Like, I actually can survive 2 Earshots because of the Arrowhead giving me a lot of defenses, and you'll actually take even less damage if you're running something like the Farquaad variant that I showed you. Considering that this thing is not even heavy either, it is 7,000 weight, which sounds like it might be a lot, but when you compare it to like the LCB, which has similar performance but isn't quite as strong because it doesn't have that insane AoE, that is way heavier. The LRB is heavier than the Earshot, which is completely ridiculous when it comes to 3v3s. These things could easily be like 9,000 to 10,000 weight, and they would still be picked. They would still be used by lightweights if they were able to fit it. They would probably just be even lighter. Maybe they'll go like, I don't know, Howl legs with like a lighter head, for example. Something like that. They could easily run it, even if it was still like 3,000 points heavier. It is absolutely an overtuned weapon. And this weapon is usually gated in 1s for a few reasons. The reason why it's not that strong in 1s, it's strong in 1s, don't get me wrong. It's very strong in 1s and very usable. But it's not completely broken just because you really need a stagger punish to make it work. And you're sacrificing the back missiles that are incredibly strong in this game whether that be the MLT-06, the really any of the dual missiles, or even like a Hanger MLT-04, for example. So you're sacrificing a lot to ring dual earshots, and you pretty much will only ever get a good earshot in when they're staggered, which isn't as easy when you have only your missiles to stagger them with, because, I mean, you know that it's pretty slow. You can see the velocity of it is not very fast. The radius is huge. You saw that basically covered this entire section. So if you're, like, close enough to where they're gonna be, you see, he was staggered, and I didn't even aim near him at all. So the reason why it's so good in 3s in particular is a couple of reasons. The biggest one is that because you're a rat, people aren't going to be looking at you too much or focusing on you. You can easily get some sneaky shots in and get a stagger punish pretty easily. Because other people will probably be building up the stagger for you, you got pretty easy times getting earshots in and basically insta-giving someone. For a build this light and able to play at such a long range, that is not okay. Thing is, you don't actually have to always go this exact style to make earshots strong. You could even go something that I've seen where it's like, you could try making something a little heavier like this, for example. I've seen this be run at high elo and be pretty dang good. Stagger someone with your vientos and then use your earshots as a stagger punish. Get him there and then he's dead, for example. Something like that is also more than viable. I've even seen people use the plasma missiles. So it's really just not okay. And you'll eventually reach games at high elo where pretty much everyone is running earshots. And this isn't just a patch thing. I know that quite a few top teams scrimmed with each other prior to the Dirk tournament that I showed off on my last video. When it came to unregulated 3v3 scrimmages, pretty much everyone just ran dual earshots, and that was pretty much all you saw. The reason why you didn't see too much of it in the actual tournaments is because we outright banned multiple earshot builds. You could only run 2 per team, maximum. The meta without earshot rats is actually really cool, and to be perfectly honest, I think this playstyle is very fun and very badass if it was fair in the slightest. It's not fair in the slightest, but if this was like weaker and reasonably toned down, I would probably still play this just because I think it's really fun. I would not play earshot rats if I didn't find it fun. It is a very fun playstyle, and if you actually enjoy playing the game while having a good build, I would suggest consider trying something like this. Of course, you can always change the frame to something that would fit your needs a bit more, but generally speaking, I think this playstyle is actually very cool. It's just way too overtuned. Kind of just ruins the game for anyone who wants to bring anything else at the high elos. You can run some other things and do okay against them. There are rushdown builds with LCBs I've seen do some pretty good work. There's Larbsters with like LRA lasers and LCS lasers. I've seen full rats where they have missiles on the back instead of earshots. Those work fine too. I've seen laser rifles. All of that is cool. It's just, a lot of that stuff, there's just no reason to run it when earshot rats just exist. If you want to have a rushdown build that has good stagger, like, earshot rats can do that for you. Use your missiles to close in, get a good stagger, get a kick in, and then just shoot them. If you want to do like a keep away build, you can totally do that with, I mean, it's called a rat for a reason. It's fast, it shoots missiles, it has good booster management because Santai gives a lot of energy when you have the Lambert core for this example of a build. And of course you could always manually aim your earshots so that you can fire from a distance, stagger someone, or punish them. If you want to run something like just pure damage, this is still one of the highest damaging builds in the game. because Earshots are just not okay in terms of damage. So the question then remains, how would you make Earshots balance? A lot of people will talk about the reload time because that was changed in one of the previous patches. I don't think that would actually change that much if they reverted it. I think Earshots were still broken prior to that. We just didn't really know about it because Songbirds were obviously overtuned on launch. But they were still incredibly strong, even disregarding that. I think what they should do is they should reduce the radius of the explosion, which might sound like, oh, well, that's the whole thing. You want to have big explosions with this weapon. I think it's a little bit too unreasonable in terms of how much impact buildup it does when you don't even get a clear shot. Like you saw previously, I'm not even aiming at this guy. I'm like far away from him. And I still... Like, he's still almost staggered, and that was nowhere near him. So that's just completely ridiculous. I think maybe the impact buildup from the indirect shots can really go down. You should not be... At most, that should do like half of their stagger meter, and I think that'd be fair. Next is the damage. The damage is ridiculous. 2,098. One of the highest damaging in the game. Like, this thing out-damages the LCA, even if you have, like... It's still gonna out-damage it because you're likely gonna have a energy generator, but, like, considering that the raw stats of the LCA still is worse, that's just not okay. The impact is ridiculous, so I think the attack power... could probably go down to, like, 1,700, maybe 1,600. That would put it still more than the Songbirds, but, far more reasonable. Like, I think doing the damage of a Dizzy, I think is reasonable. Because this thing feels like, when you hit it, it feels like it does good damage, but it's nothing crazy. Earshots should do, like, 1,600. And I think that'd be fair. Lastly, I think, considering the fact that you can fire both at once, these things should be heavier. These things should be, like, 9,000 weight. Put it around the same weight as the LCB. And it sucks, because... when it came to before the patch, the meta was actually pretty varied due to the limitations we had regarding Earshots, missiles, and LCS cannons. So to see Earshots kind of just take over everything makes me a little bit sad when the meta prior was pretty awesome. But it is what it is. If you want to use Earshots before they hopefully get nerfed, yeah, definitely consider it. It's fun. I do enjoy playing it. It is hell to play against. So, I will say that much. It is very much not a good experience to play against, but it is fun. So, it is worth trying at the very least, especially if you like longer range builds that can still do good close-up damage. And the thing about this is, I will say, you do probably want to play this build on mouse keyboard because manual aiming is part of the build. But ultimately, those are the main things that I want to talk about right now. Hope you all have a great time with the holidays again, and I hope you guys are having fun with Ranked. I know the meta is a bit of a crap show right now, but I think FromSoft was on the right track with the previous patch. They just gotta touch a few things more, maybe do a few system mechanic changes. But when it comes to threes, I think the map pool being too open and Earshots being how strong they are really prevents what would be an absolutely awesome game mode. Right now, it's just a little bit too overtuned towards Missile Rats and Earshot specifically because of what we've got. So yeah. Hope you all have a good night.